Welcome to the Lean Business Improvement Show, a show designed to give you all the tools and techniques you're going to need to remove waste, increase profitability, and help the customer get what they want. Welcome to the Lean Business Improvement Show, the show that gives you practical tools and techniques to remove waste and improve your customer experience. Firstly, as ever, thank you so much for taking the time to download, watch it on the YouTube, listen to it on the podcast. I do hope you've really enjoyed it. And of course, you know what the drill is at this point in any video you're going to listen to. It's subscribe, share, like, comment. Please, it does make a difference if you can get it out there to as many people as you can. So today's show, I want to go through the lean principles in a little bit more details as used as part of a lean business improvement plan. We're going to go on from the last episode, and if you haven't listened to or watched any of the last episodes, please flick back. But the last episode we talked around planning, and the one before that we talked about culture. This episode starts to get into the real nitty-gritty, the details of how we can start finding and making improvements in your business. Now, lean is a way of understanding value from the view of the customer, and I think people sometimes lose that. The idea is that the customer is at the heart of your lean business. And if it's not, and we've lost sight of that, that's where we really need to look at it first. And of course, you then eliminate waste naturally in that process as you move along. Ultimately, to reduce the time from somebody placing an order from you getting paid. If you think about it in real terms, that's what all businesses are really about. You get an order placed in, and then within a certain time period, if you walk into a shop, you can do it instantaneously. You pay for something and you walk out. But a lot of businesses, it's an invoice. But you want that invoice as tight and as short as you can. And the customer wants to get their product. Amazon is a great example of somewhere now where we're all used to clicking on it and it arriving either in the same day or the day after. You don't even want to wait anymore. You don't even want to go to the shops. They've really got that model of what the customer wants. They've also got returns right. You can return something straight away. Think of that as a lean model, that they can return something if you don't like it. Because a lot of people have said, I'm not going to buy it off Amazon because what if I have to send it back? Better if I go to a shop. Now, you can go to a post office or any drop-off centre, put a label on it, don't even bag it up and send it back. Amazing. So let's start at the beginning. Now, I won't do the whole history thing. You can look that up yourself about the automotive trade and all the Toyota, you know all those. And you can look up the tools in more detail. There's a great book, if you do get a chance to read it or take at least a short look at it. It's called Lean Thinking by Womack and Jones. Great book. It's well worth having a look in there. And one of the things that they looked at mainly was this idea of 5 principles. And the 5 principles was really around how they saw what we could be doing to make it much better and much leaner in the business world. And the first one of those, as I've touched on a minute ago, is around the customer. So they are specifically looking at the value from the point of the customer. What's that customer actually wanting to buy from you? What's the service and what's the value that you add to that person? Now, it sounds simple, doesn't it, that? We all know what we do at work. We all know why we're doing it, don't we? I would say not sometimes. You might know that you put a widget here or dig a hole there or answer a call there. But actually, have we really lost sight of the customer in all that? And I think that's really where you want to start this journey as a business owner or as a person who's interested in making those improvements. Is the first principle is, what is the customer buying from you? What are they wanting? What results are they trying to get? 99% of the time, it's to solve a problem. A person is buying something to solve a problem. If you've got dirty clothes, then you need to buy a washing machine. That's it. It's not the washing machine you want. The actual result is clean clothes. If there was a much better way of doing it, you put it in a box and it just came out without any water, then we'd all buy those. Now, of course, you can design the product and the service to make it nicer, the experience nicer, but we shouldn't lose sight as that people who buy washing machines want clean clothes. So make a product with all the functions that they need. Many people make products and fail with products and services when they make something that people don't actually want. They make a service and a function that is not needed at all. If you look at your own products, so the first part of this, when it comes to actionable, is look at the first products and services that you do. What are they doing? What are they serving? Are they making you the money? Think of the 80-20 rule. So does the customer buy that product and make you money enough times. I've been in businesses where you've done, we sometimes call it a tail review. You look at your least profitable or least volume items in your portfolio and you make a decision. Do we keep them or do we get rid of them? Sometimes the 20% of the products that you make or the services that you do will be making 80% of the actual profits. So why do you do the other 80%? Now that's very simple. Very easy to say that, isn't it? Just get rid of that. Now we know there's intertwining. You have to have one part of a business to generate another part. I understand that. But a lot of the businesses, when you look at your portfolio, especially if you've just got to the point where you're a mid-sized company, look at your portfolio now with a lean eye on it, looking at the value specifically from the customer and wonder, do you need to do some of those products and services? Or is that your first journey? Is to look at how you can remove some of those from your process. The second one in this 5 lean principles is the idea of value and the idea of it value streaming through your business. So when you use what they call a value stream map, it's a great tool. It's an eye-opener. The value stream map is a great way of looking at the process from end to end, from material coming in to the final product going to the customer. And you will soon start to see where your weaknesses are. You'll soon start to see where the problems are. And you're only as good as a weak link. So you need to look at that. Now, it's an easy thing to do, a value stream map, if you know how to do it. And you start to see the gaps. And you usually then can say, right, well, we can close that gap. It's a great paper exercise. You don't need a fancy, any of these consultants say you need some fancy software. You don't. You need a paper, a wall, some post-it notes, and people in the room will know what they're doing. I've done value stream mapping with banks and large organisations, and it's a real eye-opener to people when they see it in the flesh, if you like, on the wall, and they see where the gaps are. You see where the value is not being added, and you almost start to have those moments where you go, whoa, how's that? How's this? What? Why are we doing this? This is crazy. That's where you start to see those ideas of mapping it out. And it is going to be one of our future episodes. So hang around for that where we look at mapping. The third one in the 5 principles is the idea of flow. Now, this is the idea of a one-piece flow. And it does sound a great idea. But of course, is it that simple? Can you keep things flowing? And I must admit, this part of the one of the principles I sort of challenge sometimes. Do we really get proper flow? Do we get one-piece flow? Do things keep moving? We want to avoid batches and queues, but it seems to be inevitable in some way. I think you can reduce it. I'm British. I love a queue, obviously. I love to have a queue, apart from in pubs. It's weird to queue in pubs, but that's something different. But you are looking at that idea of bottlenecks. So you might not be able to get rid of everything. You might not be able to have this idea of perfect flow, but there is going to be work in progress all the way around you. When you walk into the business and you look, you'll start seeing that the slowest part of the process is just getting loads of inventory behind it. And that's the idea when you get this tack time and a drum to make sure that you're not making too many. You always run to your slowest part of the process, the bottleneck. And then, of course, you put a system in, you use tools, techniques, engineering, process changes to try to remove the bottleneck. And I've done that quite well in businesses. Cost of living crisis came along. We had a process which was really going through the roof. It only run at 3.5 tons an hour. Now, people said it couldn't go any quicker. There's no way. The manufacturer said it can't. But with a team around it of engineers and technical and operators, we managed to move that up to 4 ton an hour, then to 4.5, then to 5 tons. And near enough, we got to 6 tons where they said they couldn't do it. It didn't affect the quality. The customer wasn't affected. It didn't affect the safety of the people or the process. So it is possible to do it. And you do look at removing your bottlenecks. The fourth one in the principles is the idea of pull. Shall we get the customer demand correct? Now, that's very hard in certain businesses where you're working to forecasts. So you're expecting to see an order coming in and you work to a forecast and you've put stock down for that because of whatever reasons, and it doesn't show up. And that is very frustrating for anyone in business when you get these large spikes in your forecast. But don't worry, internally you can still look at how you can control your stock. Do you need to be ordering 1,000 of those items in your raw materials, or could you order 500 and get more delivered when you need to? So you're not paying for that stock. You're not paying for it to be there. And then it pulls through. Kanban, you'll hear that word a lot. If you don't know what Kanban is, it's a way of having a process that triggers the processes further down to pull it through. So instead of you pushing it to the next process, it's pulled through. When the Kanban gets to a certain level, the process behind starts to make it. So you get this pull through your process. And if you walk into a business and you haven't got that, again, you'll see these piles of inventory working around as you work areas, and you'll see a lot of mess, a lot of piles waiting for things to happen. And the last one is this pursuit of perfection. We know that you can't be perfect, but why not think of our quality? We're going for it. It doesn't exactly mean that everything's going to be perfect all the time. It means that you're always moving forward. Whatever was good yesterday shouldn't be what's good today and tomorrow. You're looking forward because you're going to minimize the waste you get there. And without the delays, you're looking for perfection. You can deliver a service which, firstly, if your customer wants to pay for, they're happy with it, but also that you're better than your competitors. If competitors aren't doing this and you're a business owner who's looking at doing something like this, you're already going to be ahead of them by doing these processes. You're never going to be perfect. Even the best know that they're always working on this. If we go back to the history of this, your Toyotas and the people really embrace this are still working on this now. Years, 50, 60, 70 years, they still do this. It's not perfect. It's better, but it's not perfect. So those are the 5 areas. And there's a number of different tools that we'll go through as we go in here. But I just wanted to give you a flavour of the 5 that you want to do. So just to quickly recap from the 5, you're looking at the customer. So when you do number 1 of the principles, you're specifically looking for value from the point of the customer. Then you're looking at how you can make sure that you have a system that is around the value. So the value stream map, you know what the value is, you know where you're adding waste and you're not adding value. The second one is how it flows through your process. What's your orders like when it looks to flow? Do you then have a pull system that pulls work through or calls through your system? And your last one is that idea of pursuit of perfection. So that is a show in a nutshell, gives you some ideas of how it can practically work. We're going to dive into each of those elements as we go through these shows, looking at how you can remove waste from your process. As I said, if you want to be part of this whole community and you've got ideas of how those 5 affected you, or if you have only just heard of them and want to ask some more questions, then please send me an email to managermattconsulting@gmail.com. Would love to get more people together to answer questions around how this can practically work and really get to know what you and your problems are in work. Well, that's the end of this episode. I hope to see you on the next. But for now, goodbye.